Hi, I'm Seryna Myers. I wanted to share today somewhat of my new mission and also some of the big changes that have been in my personal life that I haven't had an opportunity to talk about before. So we're going to do that tonight. So to kick things off, let me just drop a nice big bomb on you, and that is what happened to me at the start of the pandemic. So the beginning of 2020 was 2 months after my 7-year wedding anniversary. And at that time, my husband became my wife. And I started to find myself sharing a bed with another woman, which was maybe not quite as spicy as it sounds. It certainly wasn't expected. And in that time, especially in the early days, I was watching her kind of explore her femininity, where she started to experiment with hair and clothes and makeup, but she didn't have all of the same internalized patriarchal do's and don'ts that cis women had pretty much since birth. And to be honest, sometimes in those early days, I kind of resented her for it. There was this one particular day I remember, and I felt like such a dick. I'm gonna just be honest about it. She went out of the house, and I said, it must be nice to not feel like you have to put yourself together before you go out, because she was wearing cozy clothes, and she was completely unbothered by the state of her eyebrows. And as soon as the words came out of my mouth, I realized it wasn't her that I was resenting. It was the stories that I had been fed by the patriarchy that were causing me to water down my own self and my own expression. The patriarchy says in order to be a good girl, you need to follow a strict set of unwritten rules that you're just expected to know. You need to shave your legs, but grow your hair long. You need to wear makeup, but not too much makeup. You need to be sexy, but keep a low body count. You should have opinions, but they better be nice. And you should be smart, but not intimidatingly so. Always someone on the outside telling us to want certain things and feel certain ways, and that is how we'll be good. And now let's be honest, that has actually nothing to do with being good. What we're actually talking about is desirable, marryable, worthy. I'm the oldest of 5 kids. And that meant that for me, my internalized stories were that my worth was broken down into 3 areas. It was my looks, it was my grades, and my ability to prioritize everyone else and take care of everyone. Now, these kind of stories, these internalized patriarchal stories, were telling me all the ways that I needed to be good and all the ways that I would inevitably fail to live up to those impossible standards. It kept me feeling really disconnected and really stuck. And here's the thing, so long as we're on this quest to be good, we're not thinking about who we actually are, what we actually want. We are not disrupting any systems of power. We are getting along, we are playing nice, but we are not being the truest expression of ourselves. I knew how to be good. Good was never my issue, but good enough? That was a lesson that carried on well into my late 30s. And I hate to admit it, but it showed up mostly in how I related to other women, especially inside my head. I judged their partners. I judged and created stories about how they might have gotten their jobs. I judged how they spent their money. All of these things where I was coming from this place of superiority and arrogance, and it was actually jealousy, and I was completely oblivious to it. And that's when it wasn't personal. Then when my exes would get married, of course, I had to go and check out who the new wife was gonna be. And I had to see how I measured up against her, because why would he marry her when he wouldn't marry me? The patriarchy had me believe that there were only so many opportunities for women, and we were pitted against each other for them, for the guy, for the job, for everything. But let's be honest, life and love, it's not pie. It's not a finite amount of slices to go around. There's enough for all of us. But to believe that, and I mean truly believe that, it means that we have to rewrite the stories that we've been told. It means that we need to start to build genuine relationships with other women without it being somehow connected to our own worth. Because here's the thing, being good and the comparisonitis that it creates is killing us. It is impacting our joy, our happiness. It's impacting our mental health, our self-esteem, our body image. It's robbing us of the joy from our day-to-day lives, because the things that we are living are not living up to something that we once scrolled past that was heavily filtered online. The comparison that we have learned as women is messing with our heads, and it is ruining our ability to appreciate the good in our lives. And that word again, good. Good enough. So how do we ultimately end this quest for goodness? How do we find it in ourselves and in the world at large? Well, I believe the answer is community. We need a sacred sisterhood. I have witnessed some of the most profound transformations in my group coaching programs, where women show up very vulnerably and they are seen and celebrated in both their highest moments and their lowest ones. And the work that we do in these little containers has a massive impact on their lives. I'm watching them set better boundaries, fall in love again, advocate for themselves. They are now doing the work of dismantling the very systems that left them feeling voiceless, powerless, and unworthy. And that is the magic. When we surround ourselves with women who are doing this reclamation work, who are doing the work of taking back their power and standing in their truth, where we start to begin to create this new world, this better world. A world where it is safe to be who you are and express how you feel. A world where your wins are celebrated and we are cheering you on as you stand in your power. A world where you get to show up so fully that on your bad days, when you don't see the good in yourself, there is someone there who's been cheering you on who can remind you of the goodness that you are. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the stories that have kept us disconnected have been things that have been passed down for generations in our families. And as a result, family ends up not always being the place that we can be our most authentic self. So we need to create chosen family. We don't just need a village. We need to find the right village of the right women who are also doing this work, who can be there to celebrate with us and watch us and witness us and cheer us on, and to know what it's like in the trenches because they are doing the work too. When you do this work, when you find these people, when you are in your village, you get to find that the heartache that you have been carrying alone is no longer yours to carry alone. You have someone there to help you, hold you through it. And if you give yourself a moment of pause, you tap into your heart, you know deep down that was never yours to carry alone in the first place.